I'm Jonah Comstock, Editor-in-Chief at Forum, and I'm here at JP Morgan on day 2. It's lunchtime, we're at the Hotel Sparrow, and I'm joined by Fabrizio, the Chairman and CEO of SIFI.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's a pleasure meeting you.
So SIFI is an Italian company, but a global pharmaceutical company focused on the ophthalmology space, right?
So we actually what I would call a European specialty ophthalmology company that is trying to address a couple of significant opportunities outside of our core market, which is Europe. And one of the reasons why I'm here is actually to make sure that we put everything in place to address the opportunity for an orphan drug that we recently got approval from the EMA, and we're working to get that approved and then launched in the US for acanthamoeba keratitis. That is an ultra rare disease that affects especially contact lens wearer.
I've not heard of that disease. So tell me a little bit about it and how you guys got involved in that space.
So acanthamoeba keratitis is a disease that is in most cases, like 85% of cases, secondary to contact lens wear. That's the reason why also in the US is a much bigger opportunity than Europe, because just to give you a sense, it is 16% of the adult population that uses contact lens wear in the US compared to 4 to 6% in Europe.
Fascinating.
So that's why it's not very easy to make people understand what's the difference between Europe and the US in this respect. More importantly, is a very severe disease that creates a horrible quality of life for patients. I will give you just an example in a market where we recently launched. That's Germany. That's our first commercial launch in Europe. AK patients get hospitalized for 1 week. They get the 3 different drops every hour, so they cannot sleep. With our drug, we could have only daily dosing, and we get an 87% cure rate in just under 4 months, which makes a lot of difference for patients. This disease is basically called by an amoeba called acanthamoeba, of course. And it is, an ultra orphan with several causes that affect not only the quality of life, but also the pain, as these people that are affected by this disease would probably need to, give up on their daily routines, give up work, and in some cases, they don't even sleep. So it's something that goes beyond the traditional unmet need in ophthalmology, but it's really painful.
So when you're dealing with an ultra rare disease like that, an ultra orphan, there's so many economic challenges of reaching that patient population and making the economies work to with what it costs to develop, what it costs to get the clearance. So how do you guys think about some of those challenges, and why are you in rare, and what's your approach to making it work?
So SIFI has a background in ophthalmology. We were founded 1935. Actually, this year we're celebrating 90 years. We've always been focused on ophthalmology. But many years ago, we decided to invest in the development of this drug from phase 1 through to phase 3, which is kind of a unusual effort for a company of our size. It is a matter of making sure that the healthcare systems are able to support the development and the return on investment of an orphan drug. This is where we are focusing on key geographies. I would say the more advanced, at least, to get traction with the drug. So Europe on one side, US on the other side. And we're also discussing with potential partners about other territories outside of those 2 regions.
You mentioned that you're not normally in the U.S. market. I mean, so is this an opportunity to sort of build relationships, explore that space, or is it really focused on this particular kind of making this drug work in this use case?
No, we're very confident about the data. We are engaging with the FDA And I'm not concerned about whether this drug would fill an unmet need. I'm pretty certain about that. The matter is to decide how to go about the go-to-market strategy. So we are discussing with a number of parties in terms of licensing or going our own, using commercial services providers to help us in this effort. But we believe that it is an opportunity, and we really want to get access to this drug to as many patients as possible. Just to give you a sense, we run compassionate use programs throughout Europe before the marketing authorization approval, and a lot of patients had a change in their lives, including an Italian Olympic athlete.
So you've been here for a couple days. We're on day 2 of JP Morgan. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? I've been taking the opportunity to kind of chat with all the different folks who come here, get an idea of some of the trends in the space.
Sure. In terms of the trends in ophthalmology, it's interesting to see how things are developing at different levels. There's still a lot of investment to address retinal diseases, especially a lot of investment into cell and gene therapies, CAR-Ts, and I guess we have seen. I've personally seen less focus on the digital side of things than it used to be. Probably it's also because major companies, big tech, have kind of reduced their efforts in the space, like Google, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be big a few years ago. Probably they have reduced their focus on ophthalmology. Of course, I'm talking about my space.
Right. But yeah, cell and gene therapy you mentioned. I think I spoke to a company earlier that was working on a gene therapy for wet AMD. And I confess I was a little surprised to find out that ophthalmology was an area where there was this focus. And you think cell therapy, you think cancer, you think blood cancers. So why is it that what are some of the opportunities of that category of treatment in ophthalmology, and what is it kind of a good fit?
So, I mean, ophthalmology is a great space for technology across the board. Think about using machine learning for images. I mean, all about diagnostics in ophthalmology is about images, whether you take from fundus camera, from imaging of the cornea. So there's a lot of space there. And also, being a fairly isolated anatomical district, it is a place where a lot of new experimental drugs or efforts can be made across the board. So it's a place where a lot of technology converge, but of course the downside is that the opportunity is smaller than any that other therapeutic areas. But it's very interesting because a lot of things are tested on the eyes.
That makes sense. We understand the eye pretty well, right, compared to something like the brain.
Yeah.
What are some of your kind of plans for the year to come, and what are some things you're keeping an eye on, excited about going into 2025?
This year, I mean, we're very focused on the commercial rollout of our orphan drug in Europe and advancing into the regulatory process with the FDA.
And what does that timeline look like? I mean, I know there's a little bit of question mark when it comes to regulatory.
Yeah. I think we can fairly estimate an approval in 2026. We have some work to do, but indeed, we feel confident about our perspective for a very successful efficacy rate we achieved, not only in the phase 3 trial, but also in real world data that we're getting from either the early access or the initial, let's call it commercial patients, if you see what I mean. I mean, the ones that are getting the drug after the marketing authorization approval. So yeah, we feel very confident. Then on top of that, we are continuing to grow in our existing and new markets with our, let's say, more traditional part of the business, where it is traditional RX pharma, glaucoma, antibiotics, dry eye, and also our advanced technology IOLs. I mean, one of the things we expect for 2025 is the approval through our joint venture of our presbyopic correcting IOL in China. That would be also a big boost for our company. So we're trying to partner where we have opportunities to leverage on our IP. But, as far as SIFI is concerned, our main target is to be a successful company in Europe.
Getting back to this orphan drug that you're working on getting approval for here, when you get the approval, what are some of the kind of market access challenges associated with that? Is there a need for like an awareness campaign, or is it just like reaching the right doctors who treat this? Where do you go from there?
I think it's a mix of all the things that you mentioned. You need to make sure that you have a good market access, disease awareness, and also targeting the right KOL. To that point, we already engaged with some of them, and we are supporting some investigator-initiated studies here in the US. Cannot share too many details at this stage, but we're doing our best in terms of providing ethical support to the doctors, which I believe will pay back when we're going to be commercial. So that's something that we've been doing in Europe for the last 2 to 3 years, and we continue to do as long as it is required.
Thanks so much for chatting with me and making the time. Anything else on your mind, or any final thoughts?
I would just say it's great to be here at JPM. The weather is much better than the last few years.
I'll say.
And also, it is indeed a great opportunity to meet a lot of people, whether they are existing business partners, potential business partners, investors, current new investors. So it's great to be here. You can feel the energy.
Absolutely. And what's your sense of the mood? I mean, people keep telling me it feels optimistic this year. The change in administration, maybe some positive economic headwinds. Is that what you've been feeling too?
So I guess it depends very much on the kind of business you run. And I would say for infectious diseases, I wouldn't expect too much of a change. Of course, companies that are active in the vaccine space might feel a little bit different about the change in the US administration, but at the end of the day, it will be about science. So as long as people will be driven by ethics and science, I think things will continue to move ahead. I'm not negative about things that are going on. And then, our exposure to the US market, to be honest, is so limited nowadays. I don't feel like I'm in the best position to comment.
Sure. But it must be nice to get out here every now and then.
Yeah. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and let me know if I can do anything else.
Yeah, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you.